Hello all, again, welcome to the Zander channel. Here I help people get out of their heads and establish and maintain our connection to our heart. Yes, even if you're a man. This is my path to happiness, joy, and love. I'll also post on how to get out of depression, suicide, stress, anxiety, and other lower vibrational energies, such as anger, on your path to happiness, especially during times of truth or fantasy crisis, such as the time of this video posting. Now, I invite you to subscribe and join me in this journey towards peace and happiness. And this video is on how to increase your compassion bandwidth. So, many of us assume that we only have so much compassion to spare, but research says we can build our capacity to alleviate suffering. This is a 2013 article by Daryl Cameron. Compassion is a powerful moral emotion. It moves us to care for the suffering of others and enables us to live cooperatively with one another. We live in a society of constant connection, in which the success and sorrows of others are brought to us instantly through phones, computers, TV, radio, and newspapers. With that increased connection comes the risk of becoming overwhelmed or overburdened by our emotions. Fearing exhaustion, we turn off our compassion. But research suggests we can actually expand our compassion bandwidth without hurting ourselves. As the science of compassion develops, we can find empirically supported ways to cultivate and sustain compassion when it's needed the most. Now, because of the pandemic, as the time frame of this posting suggests that there is no real connection to people with a mask on or to stay 6 feet away, we still have the compassion that we get through the phone and through our friends that we do see on a physical basis, but mostly it's due to the media platforms that we have, such as this one, that we see people and we connect with other people. So, carrying on. Why does compassion collapse? When asked, people predict that they will feel more compassion when many are suffering than with just a single victim suffering. Moreover, some attach moral weight to this prediction. If there are more lives at stake, then we should feel more compassion and do more to help. Now, this can go to somebody jumping in front of or jumping on a grenade to save their buddies. If it's just one, maybe not so much. You might rethink your action. Now, when you measure people's emotional experiences in real time rather than their predictions, a very different pattern emerges. Rather than feeling more compassion when more people are suffering, people ironically feel less. A phenomenon my colleague Chris Payne and Daryl call the collapse of compassion. People feel more compassion for one than for many. You may find this result surprising. It is not that aiding more victims to a single victim only increases compassion a little bit in a diminishing emotional return. When faced with many victims, people feel less compassion than they would have if they had just seen one victim. Precisely when compassion is needed most, it is felt the least. Maybe too many TV shows, zombie apocalypses, I don't know. Why does the collapse of compassion occur? Some argue that we're simply unable to feel much compassion for many victims. But in collaboration with Keith Payne, Daryl has developed a different theoretical account as designed as a series of experiments to test it. We find that when there are more suffering victims, people think they will feel more compassion. Giving this expectation, people may become concerned about the financial and emotional cost of intense compassion. Compassion for many victims can be seen as expensive proposition. On one that will not make much of a difference. So why should I give money? It's not going to make a difference anyways. Otherwise, these TV shows and these commercials about sending money to Africa would not be there because the money's already been sent, but it's still not reaching the people. Therefore, where's the money going? Into somebody's pocket? Yes, absolutely. But it's still going to be expensive to actually get money to that actual child. For these reasons, people may actively and strategically turn off their compassion. According to our theory, compassion collapse is not due to a limitation on how much compassion we can feel. Instead, it's the end result of people actively controlling their emotion. So why do people shut off sympathy for large numbers of victims? In one experiment, he had participants read about either one child refugee or 8 child refugees from war-torn Darfur region of Africa. Oh, it's a nasty place. Half of our participants were told that later on in the experiment they would be asked to donate money towards these victims. People expect that helping 8 victims costs more than helping 1, so imposing a donation request created an incentive to turn off compassion. The rest of the participants were not told that they would have to help by removing the financial incentive to turn off the compassion. Daryl was hoping to reverse the compassion collapse. And that's exactly what he found. When people expected to help, they showed more compassion for 1 than for 8. But this is reversed when people did not expect to have to help. By showing that the amount of compassion is dependent upon expected costs, the experiment revealed that we don't face some natural limit to our compassion. Is it you can identify with the 1 face instead of the 8? The group is a group, and the individual is a face that you can remember? Don't know. In the next couple of experiments, he turned from motivation to mechanism. How do people turn off compassion? Even if people are motivated to turn off their compassion, they should only be able to do so if they can skillfully regulate their emotions. In one experiment, Daryl had people read about 1, 4, or 8 child refugees from Darfur. Everyone thought they would help later, so everyone had the motivation to turn off compassion. He also assessed individual differences in how well the participants controlled their emotions, which turned out to be decisive. The compassion of unskilled emotion regulators did not collapse between 1 and 8 victims. By contrast, skilled emotion regulators restricted their compassion as the number of refugees increased. In a follow-up study, we manipulated the ability to regulate emotion. Half of the participants were told to experience their emotions freely without trying to control them, while reading about 1 or 8 children refugees from Darfur. The other participants were told to control their emotions as they read about the refugees. The people who were told to accept their emotions without controlling them did not restrict their compassion. People who were told to regulate their emotions did suggest that emotion regulation causes the collapse of compassion. So, how do we increase compassion? The upshot of this research is that people can choose whether or not to feel compassion for mass suffering. This choice will depend upon whether people are motivated to avoid compassion and whether they have the skills to regulate their emotions. If we can get people past their fears of being overwhelmed and teach them strategies for staying with rather than avoiding compassion, then we can increase their compassion bandwidth. Now, there are many possible short-term strategies for increasing compassion bandwidth. These strategies may be especially effective at changing motivations to avoid compassions, increase the sense that helping will make a difference. especially in situations where lots of people are suffering. We justify turning off compassion by saying that helping would just be a drop in the bucket. If helping organizations highlighted the impact of future donations, it could lead people to feel more compassion and act more pro-socially. For example, how to diffuse the drop in the bucket concerns. See the public service announcement by Direct Relief International. Blah, 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 blah. Streamline helping opportunities to make them seem less costly. After the tragic earthquake and tsunami in Japan, the Red Cross encouraged people to donate $10 simply by texting the term Red Cross to a pre-specified number from their smartphone. By making pro-social behavior as simple as a press of a button, Red Cross was able to increase compassion and helping for many people, not just the donations, but the people volunteering their time. These efficient helping opportunities could be embedded into various social media sites such as Facebook, Gab, and other social sites to provide low-effort conduits for compassion and helping. Train your brain for compassion over the long term. Mind training techniques may be better suited to increase people's ability rather than motivation to experience compassion. There are many meditation traditions that encourage people to cultivate compassion toward self, family, friends, enemies, and strangers. Compassion cultivation techniques have been shown to increase positive emotions and social support, reduce negative distress at human suffering, and reduce people's fears of feeling compassion for others. Such training programs may prevent the collapse of compassion by letting people overcome fears of fatigue and accept their own compassion. Please note that this isn't about people in Darfur. This is about you. You have to increase your compassion for yourself. This is the journey towards your happiness. This is what my channel is about, is your happiness, my happiness. But these are examples to show you that we can cultivate, we can train your compassion for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for that person that did the ultimate wrong to you. Not for forgiving them or for having compassion for them. It's for having compassion for yourself. You see. Because in order to change the outer world, you have to change your inner world. That's how it works. It's the laws of the universe. I did a video on that one too. You can go take a look at that. Now, in ongoing work with Barbara Fredrickson, Daryl is exploring how levels of mindfulness predict helping behavior as well as the emotions associated with helping. Mindfulness has two important subcomponents: the ability to attend to the present moment and the ability to accept experiences without judging them. Both of these aspects of mindfulness predicted helping behaviors. We're back on mindfulness again. It's my series in this few videos that I'm doing in these next couple of weeks. Now, among those who reported helping others, present focused attention predicted increased positive emotions such as compassion, elevation, and joy, and happiness. It did not predict negative emotions, and by contrast, non-judgmental acceptance predicted decreased negative emotions such as distress, disgust, and guilt. But it did not predict positive emotions. Focus is the currency of the mind and the soul. Where is yours? These findings suggest that we refine our thinking about how to build compassion towards mass suffering. Training people in present focused attention may increase their ability to savor and sustain compassion for many victims. But training people in how to accept their internal experiences may be necessary for the first step to diffuse the fears that hinder compassion from emerging in the first place. Together, these mindfulness skills may enable people to enhance their compassion bandwidth at a time when we need our compassion to be firing at full speed. So, what do you think about that? If you like it, smash that like button and subscribe below. If you learned something, agreed, or found this interesting, comment below to ask an educated question that you actually want the answer to. If you love my sexy face, hit that notification bell for my next posting herein. And also, no disease, including cancer, can exist in an alkaline environment. Dr. Otto Warburg, 1931 Nobel Prize winner for discovery of cancer. Go the raw food lifestyle. Go vegetarian, vegan. Something. Alkaline diet is out there. Go get a couple of books. Do not use your damn microwave. Is it a healthcare system or is it a disease management system? And why exactly are you taking medical and health advice from people who have a vested monetary interest when you're diseased? Is medical school expensive? Who's paying for that? You are. Peace, love, and happiness to you all, and good day, and happy day.